Hello, welcome back to the channel. You join me here in Megaton with my kind of least attractive looking character because we've got the ghoul mask and everything. But today I thought we would take a look at Vault 87, so I've kind of gone back in time and my kind of played through just to kind of cover Vault 87 properly. So we have to get there through Lamplight Caverns. Lamplight Caverns is kind of important place to take note of as well related to Vault 87 because there's something that happened in Vault 87 that kind of connects the two. So here we are. So you can tell when you get close to Lamplight Caverns because there's sort of bunting on these lampposts and like strings of lights and things. Little kind of parking lot and stuff down here. So yeah, decent selection of ammo. Cool. Oh, hi. Where on earth did you come from? Okay. Yeah, I've turned the combat AI off just because it's easier. But yeah, let's head into Lamplight Caverns. And so there's more fairy lights and things. Because this was a place that, you know, it's like I guess a tourist attraction or something. I was wondering why everyone was so bright. Mungoland. So
hold it right there, lady. Don't take another step or we'll blow your fucking head off.
alright, okay, chill.
You're big, and I don't have any big friends. You better just go out the way you came in.
I really need to get in.
You don't want to go there. That's where the monsters are.
I know.
We got pretty good at keeping them out. Probably better than you could do.
Okay.
The big ones. You know, the ones that sort of look like people, except they're all wrong.
And big and green and just anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I do. But it's through Little Lamplight, and you're not getting into Little Lamplight. Guess you better find some other way, Mungo.
See, he says that, but there isn't any other way to get in to Little Lamplight other than for him to let you in. You can't get in the main door of Vault 87, the outside door. First of all, it's locked, and second of all, the radiation levels are insane because the vault door took a direct hit, so it's extremely radioactive. So please, can I come in?
Hell no! No Mungos allowed!
And then, yeah, if you can try a speech check, that's quite hard to pass. You could do a side quest where you rescue some kids from Paradise Falls, which is a slaver compound, or if you've got a child at heart, you can just be a child. You know what? Your face looks like my butt.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
You must like having such a good-looking butt.
Yeah, well, at least it doesn't smell as bad as you.
You're pretty funny for a Mungo. Why don't you come on in?
Thank you. So, yeah, basically Mungo is the word that these kids use for adults, and this is a settlement that is only kids and dogs.
Me too. Sorry.
There's nothing happy about it. This is the worst day of my life.
It's time to go.
You know the rules.
The rules are stupid.
You're a Mungo now. You gotta leave.
Maybe I can stay just a little longer?
Bye, Sticky.
Yeah. Bye, Sticky.
Don't
So, bro,
just stand there.
any luck
Get out
training
of here
today?
already.
Nothing much. One of the widower kids had a rock Zip said looked dirty, but he barely even knows what is and isn't dirty in the first place, see?
Oh man.
So there's a little
just
scene here
yesterday,
playing out with
I got him to
Sticky,
believe one of the
who
rocks
you
out
can
back, and I wish-
accompany to Big
I
Town.
guess
So
we make a
basically
good
these kids,
team,
once they get
even
old
when we
enough,
didn't mean to.
which is either 16 or
stuff.
18,
Top players
it's not very
this.
clear, but basically once
Later.
they're adults they get sent away and they'll tend to go to Big Town. So you can take Sticky with you, and he's this game's version of the annoying fan from Oblivion, but we don't care about that. Right, McCready.
Look, I don't just let any bitch into my town, and I'm taking a risk making an exception for you.
It's very
So
appreciated.
you're welcome in my town, at least until you start screwing up. Once that bullshit starts, you're out on your own again.
You know, he does swear a lot less as an adult. I'm not planning to start any trouble.
Good. Better stay that way, Mungo.
So
You don't want to go. We got pretty.
I know, but you know the way.
Yeah, I do. It's through Murder Pass. Not a real safe way to go, but it's the only door that works.
Is that?
It's the only way that works, yeah. The other door hasn't worked since before I was here. Computer's busted, and not even Joseph can make it work.
Okay, where can I find
I'm
him?
the mayor, not a babysitter, Mungo. Beats me. Maybe he's back there by the door. Fuck if I know.
All right, okay. Right, bye.
Yeah, sure, whatever.
Yeah, he's definitely swears a lot less as an adult. But yeah, so this was like a little kind of tourist attraction of some kind. So the first kids that lived in Little Lamplight was basically a school.
Hey,
Hello. So it was like, I don't know if it was like a school trip or something when the bombs fell, which is kind of weird to have a school trip on a Saturday, but you know. Oh, knocked over the gnome. But yeah, so there's some diary entries here that we just picked up. What is that? It's, oh, surgical equipment, okay. So yeah, a couple of diary entries. So Journal of Carrie Delaney,
My
entry
name
1.
is Carrie Delaney. I teach 4th grade at the Early Dawn Elementary School in Washington, D.C. Yesterday, October 23rd, 2077, half the school went on a field trip to Lamplight Caverns. We were packing up to leave when everything went crazy. The cave started shaking, the lights went out, the kids started screaming. My God! Mr. Pollock went outside to see what was going on. When he came back in, he told us what he saw. Clouds. Mushroom clouds. It's finally happened. The end of the world.
Yeah, so there was basically a bunch of the kids and presumably, you know, a few teachers and parents. I think that's how it normally worked. When I went on like school trips, that you know, you would have usually a few teachers and sometimes parent volunteers accompanying the kids. So there would have been adults
We're
originally.
all okay. If you can call being stuck in a cave with 82 terrified kids okay. Alive, anyway. I don't know what the hell we're going to do. It's been 4 days. Claudia went out this morning to look around and never came back. Then Mr. Cobb went out to look for her, and he never came back. So now there's only me, 2 other teachers, 2 of the parents who were chaperoning, and a few of the cavern staff. And all these poor kids. We've got enough food and water to last for a while, I guess. But after that, I just don't know. We can't stay in here forever. Can we?
Yeah, so there was a few adults, the staff and some parents and teachers and things left, but you know, a few people went out just a few days after the bombs dropped and didn't come back. Got to assume that they died probably of really acute radiation poisoning, you know, because it would have taken a while for the radiation levels to die down to the point where you could walk around outside and it not be an issue. Yeah, so excuse you, small child. But yeah, so the place is full of children and dogs and no adults, and when they do come of age and become adults, then they at that point basically get sent away, and that's where and they all end up in big town essentially. But they've established this sort of settlement here that's all just children. Where the children come from, it's hard to say, it's not very clear. You know, where like that, because these obviously aren't the original kids from, you know, when the bombs actually fell. That wouldn't make sense. But whether it's just that, you know, kids that get orphaned, you know, because of raiders or whatever, and they end up finding their way here and surviving. That's the best guess I've got, is that's what happens, is that, you know, kids get orphaned. I mean, you can, one of your options, shut up McCready, one of your options for dealing with Brian Wilkes after you finish those is that you can send them here. But if you can only do that if you've actually been here before you do that quest. But then you can sort of say, well, look, there's this town of children, you could go and live there, and you can send them here. So that's one of the things. So we picked up another diary there, and then we need to go and find a young man named Joseph, who's he's I'm pretty sure he says he's the teacher. So, you know, they have got, like, McCready's obviously the mayor, and then you got Joseph as teacher, one of the kids is a doc. In fact, that's him there.
Well, here's something I don't see every day.
Hello.
A new face and little Lamplight. A bit big for one of our kids, but you seem all right.
I'm glad you
What's
think
your story
so,
down
considering
here?
I'm wearing the go mask. Mayor McCready let me in, I don't want to cause any problems.
I'm Joseph, and around here, I might as well be the old wise man. Try not to interrupt my classes, and I think we'll get along just fine. As the oldest kid in town, I spent most of my time teaching, but I do what I can to keep the kids clean and fresh-faced. If you're looking for a haircut,
And
feel
there you
free
go.
to ask.
He's a hairdresser
I'll do
as
what I
well
can.
as a teacher. So yeah, they've basically you know, assigned roles, and the older kids kind of teach the younger kids and make sure that they're eating and washing, and, you know, basically teach them everything that they need to know to function, which is really, really good. So Joseph, I hear there's a door that doesn't work.
Nuh-uh. Door works fine. Computer's broke.
Okay.
Well, maybe not broke, but it sure don't work right. I turned it off because it was just wasting power.
Do you have the password?
Nope. Nobody ever wrote it down. And then one day somebody forgot. You know how it goes.
Can you put it on?
Sure, if you want. Come on, it's over here.
So
Excuse me. Watch it.
Watch it.
I'm just going to follow him here. So yeah, he switches the computer on, and it's basically they couldn't get into the computer to use it, so he just switched it off, so it wasn't using
Care to talk?
electricity. No, go turn the computer on. Go.
Watch it.
Oh, shut up. Yeah, so you see here, this is the oh, there you go, you got there. So you can see where kind of this is like the outside of a vault. Thank you.
Hey!
Hi. Yeah, so it's just an average lock terminal, so we should be able to hack our way in. But let's have a look at these diary entries by Jason Grant.
I guess this thing is working. I'm Jason Grant. I'm 10 years old. I'm in Miss Delaney's class at Early Dawn Elementary. A month ago, a big war came and everything was destroyed. Except us. We're still okay in these caves. Kind of. Mrs. Delaney went out this morning to get help, and she never came back. The other adults never came back either. So now it's just us kids. A lot of the others still cry every day. They're really scared. I'm not. There's nothing to be scared of, as long as we don't go outside. Nobody else wants to be in charge, so I'm gonna try. Most of the kids listen to me already, so it should be easy.
Yeah, so there we go. Eventually all the adults left one by one to presumably to find help or to get food or whatever, and none of them came back, so they've obviously died to radiation or whatever else in the wasteland. So this kid has basically just been like, well, I'm going to take charge because most of the kids already listen to me. And then
It's been almost 2 months, and we're all doing pretty good. Even if we are all alone, there's a door that leads to a vault, right here in the caverns. Every day we bang and bang, but they won't let us in. We can hear them in there. One time, a guy on the other side told us we were dead already. Fuck those grown-ups. Fuck them all. We don't need them ever again.
So there we go. So they've found this door into the vault, and they're banging on the door, and then someone told them to go away. They were already dead, so he's just like, fuck those grown-ups, that's it. Essentially deciding we're not going to rely on adults to help us, because adults have proved unreliable as far as they're concerned. That, you know, all the adults that were with them in the caves left and didn't come back, and then the adults that were here in the vault told them to go away and ignored them. So that's how Little Lamplight came to be. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Hey.
Hi. That's Lucy, the I think she's the doctor that just teleported in front of us there. That was a bit creepy. But yeah, so that's how Little Lamplight got started. So let's see if we can get into this terminal. Got pretty high science skills, so it shouldn't really be much useful having that up first. Okay, so it's not going to be that. It's not going to be that. Fairly easy one. So, unlock door. So yeah, this is kind of a sneaky back way into Vault 87, into the reactor room. And that gives us the quest finding the Garden of Eden. So we're safe for the moment. Mentat, stim pack. Yeah. Let's see what's in the safe. Oh, I'm quite low on bobby pins now. Watch what I'm doing. There we go. Okay. So basically this gives us the story of one of the vault residents, and it gives us the other side of that journal that we just heard from Jason Grant. So Peter Stevens' personal journal. There's quite a few entries that don't work. So, I don't know what to do. My Jason, my little boy, he's gone. My wife won't talk anymore. She just sits in this godforsaken sublevel and stares out of the window at the rock wall as if looking across a sunlit meadow or a lazy summertime lake. Jason was my life. He was my joy, my meaning. Now all this work seems pointless. This was a mistake. Better we had all died out together outside than inside this permanent tomb. I'm scared. So he's a technician. That one's corrupted. Here we go. Nothing has meaning to me anymore. Every time I'm in the outer tunnels, I swear I can hear children's laughter. The vault doctors say it's just my mind compensating for the loss of Jason, but I know I'm not crazy. They gave me new pills, but pills are for crazy people. I refuse to take these pills. I am not crazy. Why bring up kids in a hellhole like this? why this is a pointless existence. So already we can tell this guy has lost his son, and he's really not coping very well with that loss. And he's being told by the doctors that he's just depressed, that he's, you know, he's suffering because of his grief, and they're giving him medication, but he's adamant that he's not crazy, but also he's definitely losing hope that it's a pointless existence. This is, you know, he's really losing hope, and they think that he's imagining hearing children's voices outside when he's down here, but he was hearing children's voices because there's children in the cavern, and so, you know, he wasn't making that up. It wasn't an imagination. He was actually hearing children outside, but the vault doctors were telling him that it was just basically a hallucination. Then his final journal entry, which is unfortunately, it's quite difficult to read this, but it says, "Can't stand the sounds anymore. Take the pills, they say. Why take them? I am not crazy. I am not crazy. Jason's laughter. No family. Gone forever. Stuck here for ever, eternity. And I am sane. I am me. I am forever." So clearly he says he's not crazy, but this guy's clearly really, really struggling with this. And I say they're telling him to take these pills, and, you know, that he's imagining the children's laughter and the children's voices, but he's not, Peter Stevens. So yeah, not so good. That's the way back out. So yeah, I think we go through this door. And I'm pretty sure this is the one that leads to, yeah, this door leads to Murder Pass. So if you choose to go through Murder Pass, you'll come in here where there's some red lights and a mannequin. I'm not sure what the intention was there. So that's the other way to go if you either can't hack the computer, or if you want to just kill some more super mutants on the way. Because Murder Pass is called that because it's full of mutants, and if you are at a high level, you could be faced with a couple of overlords and certainly masters, so be warned. But yes, this is getting into the vault proper, and I mean, yeah, it's not looking great. There's skeletons everywhere, there's giblets everywhere. Or you were doing some impressive yoga as well. Yep, there's body parts, skulls, 5 million rad roaches. They're probably coming in to eat the dead bodies, but I'm not using a plasma rifle on rad roaches. That's overkill. And oh look, more dead bodies. Lovely. Yeah. So there's a leg, teddy bear, which I know some people have kind of theorised that teddy bears are sometimes placed to indicate where a child has died, in place of, you know, having dead children, which is fair enough, really. Yeah, but unsurprisingly, everything's kind of gone to hell in this vault, and we will learn why soon. Oh, I missed that. But yeah, he said something about green stuff. So if you're sneakier than I am, you can kind of listen to a whole conversation there where basically the super mutants are talking about looking for the green stuff. They want to find the green stuff, which is FEV, the Forced Evolutionary Virus. So Essentially, when you find the super mutants are all around the capital wasteland, they're in various places that they are looking for the green stuff. So looking for vaults, so that's why they're at the Vault Tech headquarters. That's why they were in the Museum of Technology. Just tell them to get out of the way. Right. That they're just looking for other vaults because they've concluded that obviously that's where the green stuff comes from. But unfortunately for them, this vault was one of the only ones. Not all the vaults had FEV based experiments. A lot of the vaults had other kinds of experiments going on. Yeah, you can see the cages made out of shopping trolleys. Oh, hi. I see you there. Well, now you're a good pal. But you know, they're obviously not maintaining this vault as well as some of the more functional vaults. And again, there's just body parts everywhere you look, and skeletons. Because obviously what the super mutants have been doing is they've been going out, and that's why when you find super mutant camps and there's you know, sort of captive wastelanders, so they've got wastelanders that they've kidnapped that you can free, and that's what they've been doing, is they've been kidnapping people and bringing them back here to turn them into more super mutants, because the super mutants are sterile, they can't reproduce. You know, they don't even have the organs needed anymore. That's one of the things that the mutation has caused. So the only way they can make more super mutants is to go and take humans and dip them in the FEV, and that way. But the problem they've now run into is that the supplies of FEV here have run out. So now they haven't got what they need. So they're trying to find it, and that's kind of the thing, is that they're scouring the wasteland looking for the green stuff. They're looking for more FEV, and they can't find any. So it's this kind of thing that they've, and it's the whole thing that you kind of use against the Master in Fallout 1. It's that you know, the only way to kind of talk him down peacefully is to show him that his plan to turn all the humans into super mutants is a dead end, because eventually they're all going to die through whatever means. I mean, most of them are not exactly the height of intelligence, so if they fight each other and then they kill each other, or things happen, that eventually it's going to be a dead end, because any population that can't kind of sustain itself by reproducing, it's going to, you know, it's going to end. That's going to be the end of it somehow or another. And it's the same problem that, you know, the control vaults face, like Vault 101 faces as well, because, you know, it's supposed to be a closed off society that kind of lives on in perpetuity and doesn't you know, it's not ever, what's the word I'm looking for, you know, it's not supposed to open up and let new people in. So eventually, you know, and I mean, again, they mention that in the TV show. So obviously Lucy in the first episode, she's going to get married, and they're having an exchange with Vault 32 that they're connected to, because they can't, you know, she can't find a husband in Vault 33 because she's related to all the eligible bachelors that are a possibility. And she talks about, you know, cousin stuff, and obviously she's been fooling around with Chet, her cousin, and he's kind of in love with her, but she's like, well, that's not feasible for, you know, reproduction. It's fine for, you know, fooling around as you know, sort of young adults and things, but it's not sustainable, because that's, at the end of the day, that's what the, you know, the Vault's always going to risk that. Any other, you know, closed off society that doesn't ever let anybody new join them, they're going to die out. And that's the thing, because the Vault's system, it's not supposed to save anybody. That's something that we know. It was never really about saving humanity. It was just about experimenting on humans and, you know, doing the kind of experiments into sociology and psychology and various things that, you know, they couldn't really get away with in the pre-war world, or, you know, not openly. You know, that because there's regulations on these things, and it is something that, you know, I mean, people talk about using animals for study and medicine and research and all the rest of it, but I mean, that's all very, very strictly regulated. You know, certainly from the point of view of the welfare of the animals and the welfare of human test subjects as well, when clinical trials and stuff are involved, it's extremely highly regulated. I mean, I just recently I participated in some research into one of my chronic health conditions, and it's essentially evaluating the effectiveness of one of the newer treatments, with the plan being to try and see if they can use certain kind of parameters on blood tests to predict whether this medication is going to be effective or not. And unfortunately, the medication was not effective for me, but at the same point, you know, that's still data, that's still useful data for the study, because it's like, okay, well, you know, it didn't work for her, and then they can compare the, you know, the bloods that they took from me to people where the drug did work and that kind of thing. So, you know, it's but I mean, the amount of things that I had to sign so much, you know, paperwork and things just to agree on what is this the, yeah, I can't open this this door, you know, and I had to, oops, I had to agree to a lot of things and sign a lot of paperwork and stuff, which I mean, is fine by me, because I understand research, medical research, understand how it works and understand why it's necessary. You know, I kind of participated in oh, okay, this must be a bit that collapsed when the bomb hit. Oh crap, that's a lot of radiation. Okay. You know, but so yeah, that's, you can see things really went to hell here. We've got bloody, yep, yours are playing tricks on you, that's exactly what happened. Yeah, you can see, because I'm like level 14, 15, there's quite a lot of Super Mutant Masters in this vault, which is not fun if you're not playing it with the cheat codes enabled like I am right now. Just because, I mean, unfortunately at this point, you know, Bethesda were still kind of the opinion that making enemies harder basically meant just giving them more HP and defense rather than doing something interesting with it. Which means that when you're dealing with the Super Mutant Masters and the Super Mutant Overlords, it's just, you're just literally using up all your ammo, that's all you're doing. But yeah, so a lot of medical supplies in here, because this is a clinic. So we'll get into this terminal. This terminal is very, very telling. There's a lot of important things on this. So fearfully, 1 out of 9. Also 1 out of 9. Okay. So it has to be decisions then. Okay, so yeah, if you want to, you can unlock the safe here. And then all employees must read to all medical records staff. Any vault member marked as deceased by the special EEP section will be tagged and coded in the computer as an unexplained or undefined death. This comes directly from the overseer of this vault, who will be personally inspecting your reports to make sure they are accurate. Please refrain from sending inquiries or clarification requests to this office or to the EEP Chief Physician. Please print out and give any next of kin form DV900L if they have questions. So basically, anyone that's died from a special section will be tagged as an unexplained or undefined death. And then we'll look here. So, to all medical record staff, the following are... Oh, I didn't mean to click on that, hang on. There we go. So, the following are the new revised death code definitions. Please update all files to include these codes for faster handling. Note that criminal deaths/suicides are never listed in these files as such. They must be listed under a code A008 and accidental deaths as per Vault Tech mandate. So they basically a list of codes for how people died, which I'm not sure if this is a thing in real life, because obviously I was a vet, not a doctor. I've not really dealt with human deaths in that sort of sense of the word, and we don't issue death certificates for animals as a rule. So there's not any for like a special code or anything. If if an animal died or was put to sleep, then we would generally, the clinical notes would kind of explain the reasoning for or what happened. So we never really used anything like this, but so we've got natural deaths, so microbial agents, infection, radioactive agents, radiation sickness, toxic agents, poison, allergic reactions, heart disease, ischemic. Ischemic is where that basically means blood supply to the heart is cut off, so that'd be like myocardial infarction, heart attack. Cerebrovascular disease, so that would be things like stroke, aneurysms, that kind of thing. So cerebro's brain, vascular, blood vessels, so anything that affects the blood supply to the brain, like a brain aneurysm or a stroke or something. Bronchitis, emphysema and asthma, which are all lung diseases. Liver disease, cirrhosis, cancer type 1, cancer type 2 categories. I'm not sure what the difference is between those two. Unexpected organ failure and age, so these are all kind of what's considered natural death, so it's death due to age or death due to some kind of disease or illness. Accidental deaths would be massive radiation overexposure, so acute radiation sickness, massive toxin overexposure, electrical shock, crushing heavy object, elevator mishap, drowning. Interesting one how that would happen, I don't know. Accidental weapon discharge and instant death syndrome. And then you've got the undefined, unexplained C supervisor. So now we know all these different codes, and then we get into the list of deceased individuals. So 93 deceased, which, given that these vaults tended to have populations of around like 500 people, 93 is quite a lot, especially when you see that only 4 of them are natural deaths, so death due to disease, age, cancer, whatever. Accidental deaths are 2, and 87 unexplained, undefined, which is this sort of code related to the EEP section. So you can just see that one there is an accidental death. Then more of these. Paulina Day was a natural death due to age, I think. Truman West was an accidental death, so that's the 2 accidental ones, and then the rest of them are all this UD000. Mercia Coster, remember that name. So N009, which was one of the cancer ones, if I remember rightly. I'll double check that in a minute. And then more unexplained deaths. Literally an entire page of unexplained deaths. More unexplained deaths with the exception of Bennett Faust. Eve Greenwald was another natural death, and then the rest are all unexplained. So, you know, yeah, that's a long list of people for, you know, 87 of them to be just unexplained death. But yeah, so cancer, and age are the natural deaths. So yeah, interesting. So let me just check where we've been, make sure I'm going the right way. Yeah, I think we need to head into the test labs next, which possibly means going down. Nope, it's blocked off, never mind. Here we go. Test chamber 1. FEV test chamber. So, status check. Chamber offline. FEV tanks depleted. So the door is open so we can go in and see. There is a low level of radiation in here. We've got the failed FEV subject. So you can see from the face of this poor soul, they've obviously died in a horrifically painful and horrendous way. Just all these massive like tumours and muscle mass and things. Yeah, so this is presumably one of the earlier test subjects where things just didn't work with the FEV. Because everything in this vault's an absolute horror show. That one's empty. There's skeletons in there, and there's not really... Can't really get into that room. But in here, so this looks like another clinic. Oh, there's hardware. Useful. Useful. Stand back, never say no. So this is obviously another area where, you know, people were treated or experimented on, most likely, as well. But we do have the chief physician's terminal, so this should be of interest. So Dr. Wayne Merrick. So the latest subjects in the evolutionary experimentation program, so now we know what the EEP stands for, are showing some promise after only a single exposure to the modified FEV. We are currently testing 5 subjects, 2 males and 3 females. Each one of them is under 24-hour observation as usual. We hope to have a breakthrough in this strain as the continual pressure from Vault-Tec and the military at Mariposa is becoming most bothersome. So that does suggest that at this point in time when these notes were being made, that the chief physician was in contact with somebody from Vault-Tec and somebody from the US military, and they're based at the Mariposa. So yeah, interesting. And then the next one, incredible results after only 3 days. Subjects B440, B164 and D624, all our female specimens, are all exhibiting a unique change. Their bodies are undergoing severe physical changes, losing most of their visible female indicators and transforming to an almost asexual state. They are also seeing increased upper body strength and muscle formation in line with males. Similarly, subjects C376 and A541, our male specimens, are losing most of their visible male indicators and taking on the same asexual state as the females. So, as I was saying, that they basically lost any secondary sexual characteristics, any genitalia, presumably as well. So it seems that the FEV wishes to level the playing field and start with a clean slate as it works, which is an interesting thing to say about a virus. But next one, we've had a minor setback Subject B440, Mary Kilpatrick, is now deceased. According to my autopsy, she died of a massive loss of brain function and was unable to sustain her basic bodily needs. This is the usual pattern we see in all the FEV strains we test, the brains of the subjects becoming too damaged to support even the most basic human needs, eating, sleeping, etc. So far, all other subjects are nominal and continue to exhibit physical changes, so this was the issue that they were running into with the failed subjects, is that basically the brain was getting damaged to the point where even the most kind of basic automatic things for survival were not being done. So at 10 days, we're now noticing that the skin of all our remaining test subjects is actually thickening and becoming more resilient. This seems to be the FEV bringing about some new adaptive change. This is the kind of result we were looking for, adaptations that could prove useful in combat situations. I need to remember to congratulate Dr. Philo on his skin engineering. His coded instructions in this strain seem to be exactly what he expected, so that confirms that they were not just testing this virus willy-nilly, but they were altering the genetic code of the virus, because viruses do have DNA or RNA, depending on the kind of virus. They're basically a protein envelope containing DNA or RNA, sometimes with a lipid coating, sometimes not. And what viruses do is they commandeer the cell of the host body, and they use the cell to copy themselves, and they use the cell's own resources to produce more and to copy their DNA. Or and RNA viruses, they kind of translate the RNA into DNA and then copy it. It's I'd need to go into a whole virology lecture for the details, but what that means is that these viruses can be reprogrammed, essentially, so they can change the genetic code, which could then create changes in how the virus behaves. And that's how some vaccines are. When you have a vaccine that's live attenuated, oftentimes that's what's happened, is that the genetic code of the virus has been altered so it doesn't cause the disease, but it's still enough to trigger the immune response and the immune system learning, which is the point of the vaccination. So, and that's something that can be done. So it does have a basis in real science. But yeah, it seems that this Dr. Philo was trying to do something to make changes to the skin of the subjects. And then the final entry. Once again, I've hit that damn wall. At 14 days, all the test subjects begin to exhibit severe bouts of rage and anxiety. So much so that they are a danger to my team and to this facility. I had no choice, once again, but to order them to be destroyed. It pains me every time we do this. The same cycle has repeated in every strain we test. We always see the superior physical adaptations, but the mental changes are their downfall. And that was something that Richard Gray, the master in Fallout, noticed as well. There is a journal entry of his, I think you can read somewhere, where he says, none of them seem to be able to mutate properly. Oh, didn't even see that sensor there. Some of them, most of them don't seem to be able to mutate properly. Oh, there's Fawkes.
Over there. Please, come speak to me.
Give me a minute,
I'm in
Fawkes.
the room to your left. Oh, use the intercom next to the window.
Yeah, give me a minute. So yeah, basically, he kind of noticed the same thing, that most of the mutants he created were lacking intelligence, and they were just big and dumb and brutish and violent, while not, there was only a handful that were really of what he would consider good intelligence. I think the likes of Marcus and a few others. And that's the one thing that we see here, is that we've got Fawkes, who is one of the more intelligent super mutants, and he's also friendly, compared to all the rest of them, who are just not, they know they need more FEV to keep themselves going, but they don't know how to find it because they're not smart enough to figure it out, where that, you know, finding more vaults isn't necessarily the answer. But then you've got Fawkes here, and he's never left this room, I don't think. But let's have a chat.
It can't be. Either you are quite real, and I am going quite mad. Could you actually be a pure human?
Yeah. So, friendly super mutant. Well, now I've seen everything.
No! Must you use that
Okay.
vulgar term?
Sorry.
Yes. I was born in the FEV chambers. But a super mutant, I certainly am not.
Okay.
I prefer the term meta-human.
Fair enough.
Suits me better, don't you think? Perhaps I'm getting ahead of myself. The name's Fawkes.
Okay, how ironic that others consider you a mutant of their kind.
Yes. Indeed, it is ironic. Forgive my astonishment, but I hadn't expected to meet someone with such a learned outlook of these things.
So he likes the fact that
It
we're
is
showing
of
some
blessed
intelligence
change.
as well.
I suppose I shouldn't be surprised. It was only a matter of time before someone like you showed up for the G.E.C.K.
I don't know how he knows that that's what we're looking for. What do you know about
I
it?
know what it is. I know where it is. And best of all, I know how you can get your hands on it.
Okay, and you are... Yeah, we're not going to be mean, but we're just going to say, are you willing to help?
Because you can help me.
Okay.
Let me out of this place. I can't take it anymore. I can't even recall how long I've been here. Take me with you, and I'll retrieve the G.E.C.K for you.
Okay, why would I have difficulty getting it?
The chamber in which the G.E.C resides is absolutely flooded with radiation. It's unlikely you'd survive very long. Myself, on the other hand, have surprisingly inherited a useful trait from my fellow meta-humans. I am highly resistant to radiation. Let me
Okay.
out of here, and I will place the G.E.C safely in your hands.
Okay, how can I get you out?
At the end of the hallway, to your right is a maintenance room. Inside, you'll find the fire control console for the medical area. Trip the alarm on it, and I'll be able to get out. Oh, a word of warning, though. Tripping the console activates a failsafe and will open all the recovery rooms in the medical area. So, what do you think? Can you do it?
Yep. Sounds good.
Glad to see you are a sensible person.
Nah, I tried to be.
Now, get me out of this place. I can't stand it anymore.
Okay. Right, I'll have to go and...
My hope that we will speak again soon.
Sure thing, buddy. So, yeah, Fawkes is the intelligent super mutant, and because the other ones are all big dumb brutes, they don't really understand him, but instead of, you know, letting him come out and help with their situation, they kind of lock him away, because they don't understand him. There's a gold bag. Which is kind of a shame, because if they'd kind of, you know, if they'd allowed him to be like their leader, then it wouldn't have been, you know, they might have actually had a chance, but unfortunately, I don't think there's anything. Is that open? It is open. I don't think there's anything of interest in here, no. I'll be back, don't worry. So there's some dead wastelanders in there. There's a living centaur in there, I think we can... so yeah, he says if you set off the thing in the room at the end, all the doors will open. And unfortunately, some of them contain monsters, so restricted 4 out of 11. Electric. Yeah. Identify specimen. Subject B440. I think we saw that one mentioned on that terminal. But yeah, terminate specimen. And this one's also got a centaur in it. So the centaurs are like, I think they're supposed to be like failed experiments or something, and the super mutants in this game treat them like dogs. Obviously a wee bit different. Fallout 4, where they've actually got proper like super mutant hounds, but obviously we know that there's a difference. You know, we obviously know there's a difference because the oh, I'm struggling with words today. The super mutants come from a different source. We know when they come from the Institute. Let's see. What's fun? Contract killer. Sure. Might as well take both of those. I've got the other one already. Yeah. Oh yeah, there's a guy in here. He does go hostile if you let him out though. I remember that one. Yeah, once you get high enough science skill, you get less words to guess through and more of the little brackety groups, so it makes it a bit easier. So yeah, I'm just gonna terminate this guy. Unfortunately, he's gone kind of mad. Yeah. Yeah, there's two of them here. There you go. Okay. What's the other thing that I wanted to say? Oh yeah. One important thing to note, and it is something that I'll get into when I cover the story of Fallout 3, is how Fawkes says to you there, you know, if you let me out here, I'll go and get the G.E.C.K because you can't get it because the corridor leading to it is extremely radioactive, so it'll kill you. And if you don't have broken steel, then when it gets to the end game and going in and starting the purifier, and suddenly he's like, oh no, it's your duty, you know, I can't do that for you, because, you know, it's your job to do it and I can't take that away from you, blah blah blah, even though it's kind of accepted that it should kill you to do it. It's a big plot hole, because literally, like, you know, potentially not very long before that, you go through this whole process and Fawkes goes and gets the G.E.C.K because you can't risk walking through all that radiation, but at the same time he's not going to force you to not make that self-sacrifice at the end of the game. It just makes no
Finally.
sense.
Freedom! True freedom! Ha ha ha! I cannot thank you enough for this gift.
You are
You
welcome.
have no idea how long I've pictured this moment in my mind, and it feels far better than I'd imagined.
Glad to hear it.
Now, for my part of the bargain, follow me.
Yeah, because you can see he's still wearing a bolt suit, but he's just kind of hulked out and ripped it, and he has taken a wee bit of damage because the explosive bolts when we unlocked the door to his room. But yeah, it's really weird because actually in this part, if you go and run ahead of him and get the G.E.C.K yourself, he gets angry at you for doing it because he says that you shouldn't risk it, because he can do it and he's radiation proof, and yet when it comes to the purifier at the end of the game, it's like, no, we can't do that. You know, because you noble sacrifice, yada yada yada, something or other. It just, you know, because it's the same thing, like literally Karen, who is a ghoul, and he does the same, even though his entire shtick is that he's basically bound by contract to do whatever he's told. So if you're wondering, this is the way that leads to the main door, which we can't open just now, and you'll see why in a little while, if you've never played Fallout 3 before. But I mean, I've already kind of spoiled a bit of the ending, but it's just, it's something that does kind of make no sense, that, you know, you can't get these guys to, you know, these companions to go into the radiation room and switch on the purifier and then nobody has to die. You know, the fact that unless you have broken steel, the game basically forces you into either you do it and die, or you talk Sarah Lyons into doing it instead and let her die. Come on, game, I'm running low on the old bobby pins here. Damn it. I'm going to run out. I really want to know what the heck. There we go. Last bobby pin. Hope there's some in here. Nope. Stim pack. Steam cage assembly. Microfusion cells. Laser. Pistols. There's a radiation suit, so if you decide that you don't want Fawkes' help, I'm not risking running out of bobby pins for the safe, then, you know, you've got plenty of rad drugs there. But yeah, you can see the room where the G.E.C.K is. Let's look at the lab technician's terminal. Fawkes is quite patient, he won't mind. Rewarded. That was an easy one. Oh yeah, you could have unlocked that room from here. It's good to know. Forgot that. So, notice 009. Attention all lab technicians. The A-level storage room has been restocked with rad suits and other radiation dampeners. We were able to bring these up from deep storage for immediate use. Please only take what is needed. There is no need to hoard the items. There is plenty to go around, and to lock the door after you are finished. The radiation expulsion ducts from the G.E.C.K chamber are once again venting radiation directly into the area due to faulty seals. These seals must be properly maintained and checked on a daily basis. There's a clipboard with maintenance checklist that you must initial when the check is complete in the main laboratory. Any lab technician skipping their check will be held accountable for their inactions. So yeah, basically there's radiation leaking from where the G.E.C.K is stored. Dr. Merrick has ordered the latest test subjects in the EEP to be terminated and then disposed of. Please make sure that bodily remains are placed in the incinerator as soon as the subject's vitals are flat. The entire isolation room is disinfected and any relevant data on the subjects given to Dr. Merrick. FUV is very unpredictable and we do not want any contamination to remain when the next strain is introduced to new subjects. So yeah, basically they're just gonna, I guess, euthanise the test subjects and then everything has to be re-sterilised. Normally Fawkes would help you fight these guys, but obviously he's not because I turned off the combat AI. Just gonna check there's not any notes or anything that I have missed. No, this is all just random bits of junk and whatnot.
Nothing. Echoes of the past, perhaps.
Perhaps. Yeah. So yeah, you can see there's loads of glowing goo in the corridor there.
Okay.
Yep.
You stay here. Beyond this door, the hallways and chambers are flooded with radiation. I'll get the case and bring it right back. Keep your eyes open. Many of my lesser-minded brethren are bound to stumble across us.
I will. Should be fine though. I think we've killed most of them by this point. But yeah, like radiation's insane in there, so you can go and get the G.E.C.K yourself. I say Fawkes gets quite angry at you if you do that. Oh, I didn't realise I had skill books. Yeah, he gets quite mad at you for doing it, which is fair. And there's not really anything like interesting. There is a fun thing you can do, which is you can activate the G.E.C.K in situ where it is, which means it explodes and kills you and destroys everything. But yeah, you can kind of watch it from here. So that's the G.E.C.K. It's dripping as well, so there isn't really anything else of interest. There's not any other notes or terminal entries in that section as far as I know, because you're not really supposed to be going in there yourself. You're supposed to let this guy do it.
Here, as promised. Yeah, here's the G.E.C.K.
Thank you.
I hope it's worth it. I'm afraid this is where you and I part company. I'll find my way out of this place. Don't worry. Maybe we'll meet again somewhere in the wasteland.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Fawkes. You are a good egg. Yeah, no, you can't. But yeah, this is a little set piece, so once you have the G.E.C.K, and you'll notice they come in from that locked door that we couldn't open that needed a key.
Objective is secured, sir.
Look who it is.
Good work, soldier. Make sure the G.E.C.K is secured aboard my vertibird.
Colonel
Yes,
Autumn.
sir. I'll have the techs come down and remove it immediately, sir.
You're certain she's unharmed?
Yes, sir. She'll pass out shortly, but we can revive her.
Excellent. Prepare her for transport immediately.
Right away, sir.
Yep, so plot stuff is happening there basically. This is the point in the game where once you have the G.E.C.K, the Enclave come in and kidnap you. They've obviously been paying attention and following you, and they take you to Raven Rock. And then that's all the kind of stuff that happens. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back, go into a later save, because once you've kind of done all that, there's nothing to stop you from going back and going back into the vault. Ah, okay, I found it now. Yep, this is the room that I forgot to go to in that other save file. So this is a save file, same character, but this is like after sort of having been to Raven Rock and all the rest of it. So I've already done like the plot stuff here, but yeah, engineering section. So employees only, service issue, maintenance code, green dormitory water dispensers, outputting water with a foul aftertaste, Daniel Coster. So we saw that name on the deceased list, that's her name. Mercia Coster was on the deceased list, and she died of cancer according to the terminal entry, so keep that in mind. Water filtration system, the reclaimer was adding a bit too much chemical rebalancer solution. In the process, this gave rise to build up of alkalines in the water. Checked with medical section, and the water shouldn't pose any health threat. The taste should return to normal in approximately 4 days. So surprise surprise, there's an issue with the water filtration system in the vault. Like, that never happens. Maintenance code RL4 red, reactor spikes, sectional power outages. The last 5 weeks we've had periodic interruptions to the power grid. Entire sections will lose power for approximately 1 to 6 minutes, then return to normal. By installing monitoring meters, I traced the issue to sudden immense power spikes in the main reactor. My fear was the reactor was having a major malfunction. Turns out it's due to a power draw that the experimental section is creating. Whatever they are using in there is way over the limit for acceptable power consumption. I've temporarily remedied the situation by having the backup reactor kick on when needed. I don't like to do this, but I have no choice until I figure out what they're up to. So he's kind of noticing that there's power problems, and it seems to be happening because the EEP section where they're doing all the testing on the FEV has got a huge power draw. So RLO1 yellow, maintenance code, G.E.C.K chamber, radiation purging offline. Vault Tech's crappy handiwork is at it again. I've spent the better part of a month patching and repatching the radiation purge system that vents excess radiation from the G.E.C.K chamber. I have no idea why this system keeps failing. I suspect the system is simply inadequate and can't handle the amount of radiation it's purging. I recommend installing a new purging system as soon as I can get one cobbled together from spare parts. Should have it ready in about a month. Because the G.E.C.K, if you didn't know, is actually a nuclear device of some kind, essentially, that's supposed to collapse all matter within a certain area and then rebuild it into like lush, happy land that you can grow crops on and sing zippity-doo-dah and whatever. It's an interesting one. But it does do that by collapsing all the matter within a given area, which you find if you go into the G.E.C.K chamber and choose to just activate it instead of taking it with you, that's what happens. And spoiler alert, I can't speak today, spoiler alert, you don't survive that, so don't do it. So green, tapioca pudding mist colour. The mess hall food reconstitution system is outputting the Monday night dessert tapioca pudding in an odd bright orange colour. This was a simple fix. The colour matrix was simply misinterpreting instructions from the main brain and outputting incorrectly. I replaced the interface and the pudding now outputs in its proper hue. Wish all my fixes were this easy. So, you know, clearly a very important technical issue that the tapioca pudding's the wrong colour. Yep. And then number 6. EEP chamber failure, red code. I was summoned to the overseer's office and met with Dr. Merrick, who heads up the experimentation section. He informed me that one of his devices, what he called an EEP chamber, was edited. It was a strange device, but I managed to edit it, which didn't fix the problem. I then tried to edit it, which seemed to bring the device back online. Not sure what this device is for, but edited. So somebody has gone into his engineering notes and redacted a few things, because it's all super secret and things in the experimentation. And then he's put a note here: need help, Daniel Coster. This is the only place I could think of hiding this message. In the event that anyone reads this, please try and get word back to Vault-Tec HQ that something very wrong is going on in the experimentation section, something they keep referring to as the EEP. My wife, Mercia, was diagnosed by the medical section as having some sort of disease they wouldn't identify. She's dead now, and those sons of bitches won't even tell me why. From talking to people, I've discovered that many are dead or missing. Checking this with medical records section gets me nowhere. This is getting out of hand. It's time to deal with this my way. They took my wife from me. Now I'll take their lives away if I don't get some answers. I've hidden some extra help in my safe. Accessing this message will unlock it. If I don't come back, grab that stuff and save yourself. So yeah, basically I think I've already opened that. Yeah, so he basically didn't believe them that his wife died of natural causes, even though she is recorded as having died of cancer. He thinks that they were experimenting on her even though they weren't, but he planned a coup essentially. But yeah, it all just kind of went to hell a little bit. Yeah, you can't actually get into the overseer's office in game. I think that corridor's just like basically blocked off. Where it would be, it's the one that's kind of blocked off so that you can't access it. So there was actually some cut content that can still be found in the game's files, talking about Dr. Merrick being one of the best in accelerated evolution research. So basically the experiment and everything in this vault is all centred around this guy. So his data and work have been transferred from Mariposa Military Base, West Tech and Vault-Tec Labs, which is basically all the people involved in the FEV stuff essentially, and then there's a note about the guy whose terminal we were just reading, Daniel Coster. He's really good at his maintenance job, but talking about they might need to bring him on board with the FEV experiments because he might need to be used for repairing things. And then there's a note about Peter Stevens having a nervous breakdown after his son being missing and his wife being in depression. And apparently they had no records of him ever being married or having a child. And there's also a note about scouting reports from the outside of the main door of the vault. And it was a note about how we can't do that because he thinks there's been a direct hit to the outside of the vault with a nuclear bomb, so they can't open it and the radiation level's too high. As well as a letter from Dr. Braun which is just, I think, about the G.E.C.K and the experimental protocols and things. Yeah. So all that stuff is what would have been on the Overseer's terminal had they kept it in the game, but it was all kind of cut content, which happened a lot. I was talking about the weird kind of timeline things with this game with the Garys and with the stuff, you know, the Insane Survivors and the other vault, the one with all the hallucinogenic stuff in the air system. Is that Vault 106? I think it was Vault 106, but you know, and how it's kind of weird that would have lasted for 200 years. But I found out actually recently that at one point in development, Fallout 3 was supposed to take place much sooner after the bombs. Instead of being 200 years later, it was supposed to be like 20 odd years. Kind of like what happened to Fallout 76. So that would potentially explain, you know, the weird kind of timeline things that don't quite make sense with some of the vaults, because they are all side quests, so they don't matter as much in terms of the kind of storyline compared to, you know, like this vault or Vault 112 or Vault 101 where you start out. But it seems that's maybe the reason for that is that you know, at some point a decision was made to change the time frame so that this game takes place 200 years after the bombs, and that's why that maybe doesn't make sense, because it's definitely a bit weird from a lore point of view, you know, that if they basically were cloning Gary from when the vault shut, then how is there still Garys around 200 years later? How are they not all dead from, you know, being humans or supposedly humans and that kind of thing? So it seems that might be a factor in these things. But yeah, so this vault, more than any I think we've looked at so far, just shows you the real kind of horror show that Vault-Tec actually are. You know, they're not just, you know, there's some of them are silly, kind of funny experiments, you know, like the hallucinogenic drugs, at least until it all goes really wrong. But this one, I mean, the entire place is just an absolute horror show. There's blood splatter everywhere, and you know, the mutants have ripped some of the doors off for some reason, you know, and they've got their door bags full of mutilated organs and limbs. Literal blood dripping from the ceiling. Everything's just gone completely wrong in here. But you know, it's interesting just from the point of view of seeing what, you know, Vault-Tec are willing to do and how little they actually care for people that are in their vaults. And one thing that, you know, is worth noting is that for most people coming into the vaults and having a place in the vaults before the war cost them a fortune. Like, I mean, you look at like the price of the comic books. I've actually got notebooks that are based on the comic books. There's like $29 for Astoundingly Awesome Tales comic book. You know, and if that's $29 and the Giddy Up Buttercup's like $120,000. You know, so people were paying millions really to get places in these vaults, because there was a lot of hyperinflation and things, which is something that can happen during wartime, and especially because the US government were so invested, you know, they were so invested in winning the war and defeating China and putting an end to all, that they were just printing money and causing hyperinflation and, you know, pushing war bonds and things, because they just couldn't afford to keep you know, researching, because they were doing research. They were researching like you know, trying to replicate the Chinese stealth armor and trying to deal with the plague that which is kind of where the FEV virus all came about. There's just so much to it, and it's really, this vault really highlights some of the kind of horror show that happened, and what happens when you mess with DNA and you mess with evolution and try and accelerate evolution. You know, that's not a you know, because evolution, natural evolution, it takes place over hundreds of generations. It's not something that just happens, you know, from one generation to the next. A lot of these evolutionary adaptations, it happens over a long period of time, and you do see evidence of that in various places in the real world. I mean, one that I find quite interesting is in snakes. So obviously we know, everybody knows that snakes don't have legs, except some of them do. They have what's called vestigials. So vestigials is a word for basically organs or parts of the body that are kind of there but they're not really needed anymore. So you can kind of, a lot of people consider the appendix to be vestigial, although there's now evidence that it does still play a role in normal kind of digestion and maintaining the gut microbiome and all the rest of it. But if you look at certain sort of evolutionary wise older types of snakes, so particularly some pythons and boas, which are snakes that are kind of less evolved, that they actually do have little sort of remnants of a pelvis, and they have claws on either side of their vent, which is their sort of cloaca, because people say the cloaca is the kind of butthole, but it's not. It's that part's internal, and then the external opening is called the vent in reptiles and in birds. And if you look at some of these snakes, they actually have claws on either side of the vent. And if you see an x-ray, you can see there's just wee tiny bits of bone, and it's remnants of a pelvis and hind limb, because snakes evolved to have limbs and then evolved the limbs away. That's you know, it's they went from having legs and arms or having limbs to not having limbs. So, and there's stuff like that all across the animal world, and even in humans as well. There's a thing that you can find a muscle in your wrist that only maybe 20% of people have. There's all sorts of things. But the point is that, you know, evolution isn't something that could be rushed or forced without potentially having serious consequences. And the existence of the super mutants, and particularly in this vault with the failed subjects, and you saw just the amount of muscle mass that these people must have put on so quickly that their clothing ripped, and then their skin, and just the look on their faces and things. You can imagine that they must have died in so much pain. It must have been so distressing for them and things, and it's kind of a, you know, don't play God, really, is the lesson. But that's Vault 87, so an absolute horror show. But at least you can get a good companion out of it in Fawkes. I like Fawkes. He's a good egg, and they say you know, it's very rare to find friendly super mutants. There is another one, but he's a random encounter, and quite a rare random encounter, which is Uncle Leo. So you might encounter him wandering about the wasteland, and he's very nice as well. And Fawkes makes for a good companion if you've got good karma. You know, he's pretty great, because he, when you meet him in here, he's got a super sledge, but when you meet him after Raven Rock, he's got a Gatling laser. So he's very good. But yep, that was the absolute horror show. That was Vault 87. And you can see the amount of kind of lying and sort of secretive stuff that Vault-Tec were doing when they were doing these experiments, as well as the case of this poor man who had a bit of a nervous breakdown over his son, and apparently the cut content says that there was no record of him having a wife or a son, but either way, this man inadvertently was what started little Lamplight on the path of not trusting any adults and becoming a child-only society. And of course the question is, again, that could be part of that decision to change the time frame of the game of being set 200 years after the bombs, whereas if it was 20 years, then, well, even then, you know, if it was just after the bombs, then you could understand finding all the children, but it is kind of a question of how do they replenish the children, because if they make them leave when they come of age and become adults, then they're not necessarily going to be reproducing before they leave. So whether it's just that they acquire orphans, because there's a lot of orphans around. I mean, this is a violent place, and people in the Fallout universe die every day, really. So you know, you can imagine there's plenty of orphans around. Whether they just somehow find their way to Little Lamplight, and because they're kids, they're allowed in, and then they find a society where they've really managed to establish things and set themselves up to survive, and also provide a proper education to each other, with the older kids taking on the duty of supporting the younger kids and teaching the younger kids. So it's an interesting one. But that's going to be me for tonight. So hopefully you find that interesting. It's the plot ones are obviously tend to be a lot more kind of exciting, I think, in some ways. Although, you know, so Gary's quite iconic, and a couple of the other ones are in Fallout New Vegas are pretty nuts. Vault 22 is a doozy. Vault 11 is a doozy. Vault 34 is a doozy. Vault 34 has a lot going on. So we will get onto them at some point. But thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and I will see you all next time. Bye.